The room was cold, sterile, and quiet except for the faint hum of the monitors lining the walls. Captain Kieran Weiss stood at attention, his dark green combat suit gleaming under the harsh white lights. Before him, Commander Oren Cashin paced slowly, his hands clasped behind his back. The words etched into Kieran's mind echoed with a gravity that made his pulse thrum. "Kill Baba Yaga, and if anyone is with her, kill them too. After that, declare that Baba Yaga and all the aliens are dead." Commander Cashin's expression was inscrutable, his eyes fixed on the holographic map projected above the table. Kieran followed his gaze, taking in the swirling contours of Earth's desolation. The ruins of cities marked the map like scars, places once teeming with life now reduced to craters and ash. Around them were ominous red zones, territories still believed to harbor alien remnants or their technology. "Baba Yaga has entrenched herself here," Cashin said, his fingers stabbing at a remote corner of Eastern Europe, once the cradle of legends. "We don't know her exact capabilities, but she's a genius tactician, unpredictable and a myth," someone murmured from the shadows. The voice belonged to Sergeant Nia Calder, Kieran's second-in-command. She stepped forward, her dark eyes glittering with defiance. "With respect, Commander, Baba Yaga's been a ghost story for years. Convenient scapegoat for anything the aliens did that couldn't be explained." Cashin's gaze shifted sharply to her. "She's real enough, Sergeant. Intelligence places her at the center of alien activity, leading what's left of the Zadran Collective. The invasion may have ended, but she's keeping their embers alive." Kieran's jaw tightened. He'd heard the stories like everyone else, how Baba Yaga had turned on humanity in the final years of the war, trading alliances with the aliens for power. How she whispered commands to swarms of alien drones, her presence turning battlefields into slaughterhouses. But stories were unreliable, and Kieran had long since stopped trusting anything that wasn't verified by blood or steel. "Why now?" he asked, breaking the silence. "Why not send someone after her years ago?" Cashin leaned on the table, the light from the hologram painting his face in harsh shadows. "Because we didn't have confirmation until now. And because our focus was on survival. But if she's alive, she's a threat we can't ignore. People need closure, Captain. They need to know the Zadran are gone for good. That means ending her, decisively and publicly." The weight of those words settled heavily in the room. Closure. Humanity's survival had come at a cost so steep that no one dared to tally it. Entire continents were uninhabitable, billions were dead. The survivors had rebuilt in fragments, and those fragments were held together by little more than hope and the promise of vengeance. Kieran inclined his head. "What about reinforcements? Extraction plans?" Cashin's mouth twisted into a grim semblance of a smile. "You'll take a team of 6. Small enough to infiltrate but equipped with our best tech. Once you've completed the mission, you'll have exfil coordinates. Beyond that, you're on your own. No room for error, Weiss." "No room for error," Kieran repeated, his voice steady, though his gut churned. The briefing ended abruptly, as these things always did. There were no rousing speeches, no guarantees of survival, just an unspoken acknowledgement of duty. Outside the briefing chamber, the airlock corridors stretched endlessly. The faint hum of the ship's engines vibrated beneath Kieran's boots as he made his way to the hangar. His squad was already waiting there, gathered around a crate of weapons and supplies. Nia stood at the center, her sharp, angular face a mask of quiet intensity. Beside her, Private Ezra Malik checked the settings on a pulse rifle, his brow furrowed in concentration. The others, Corporal Juno Tate, Tech Specialist Arden Wells, and the combat drone designated AX-14, stood at varying levels of readiness. "Got the orders," Kieran announced, his voice carrying over the din of machinery. "We're hunting Baba Yaga." The tension in the room shifted, thickening like the air before a storm. Nia crossed her arms, her expression unreadable. "So it's true," she said softly. "They're really sending us after a ghost?" "Not a ghost," Kieran said firmly. "A target?" Juno snorted, her helmet tucked under one arm. "Hell of a target. They say she talks to the aliens, you know. Like really talks. Not just code or whatever. That she's part of them now." "Stories," Kieran replied, though the unease in his chest refused to dissipate. She's human, same as the rest of us. Bleeds like the rest of us too. Remember that? Ezra looked up from his rifle, his dark curls sticking to his forehead with sweat. And if she doesn't bleed? What then? Kieran didn't have an answer. Instead, he barked orders, directing the team to gear up and run final diagnostics on their equipment. The chatter faded as the squad slipped into their roles, the tension replaced by the mechanical rhythm of preparation. As they boarded the transport, the enormity of the mission began to sink in. The air felt heavier, the lights dimmer. Kieran's thoughts churned with the weight of what lay ahead. He couldn't shake the image of the map, the desolation it represented, and the tiny glowing marker that was their destination. Somewhere out there, Baba Yaga waited. A traitor. A legend. A monster. Whatever she was, she had to be stopped. The transport doors sealed shut with a hiss, plunging the cabin into a heavy silence. Outside the viewport, Earth's ruins stretched endlessly, the broken skeletons of cities bathed in a pale, unearthly glow. Kieran's gaze lingered on the horizon as the engines roared to life, propelling them toward their mission. The finality of the commander's words echoed in his mind. Declare her dead. Declare all the aliens dead. For humanity to move forward, some truths would have to stay buried. The transport shuddered as it pierced the atmosphere, its reinforced hull glowing faintly from the friction. Inside the cabin, Kieran kept his gaze fixed on the mission parameters projected on his visor, though his focus wavered. The words blurred together, supplanted by the uneasy silence of the squad around him. Even the hum of the engines seemed muted, as if the air itself resisted the journey ahead. Nia broke the silence first. I don't like this. Too many unknowns, not enough intel. What kind of commander sends us blind into something like this? Kieran didn't respond immediately. She wasn't wrong. The details were thin. Baba Yaga's stronghold was deep within an abandoned alien base, surrounded by hostile terrain. There had been no recon teams, no recent intel beyond satellite scans showing intermittent energy spikes. It smelled like a trap, but orders were orders. You know how it works, he said finally. They tell us what we need to know, nothing more. Nia scowled, turning her attention back to her rifle. Convenient for them. Not so much for us. Ezra, seated across from her, grinned without humor. She's probably watching us already. Baba Yaga, if half the stories are true, she's got eyes everywhere. Focus, Kieran snapped, though he shared their unease. Stories don't matter. We've got our objective. The transport jerked as it hit turbulence, throwing them all against their restraints. Outside the viewport, the landscape unfurled, a barren wasteland of jagged rocks and metallic ruins, the remnants of Zadran architecture jutting from the ground like broken teeth. The alien structures glowed faintly, pulsing with a light that seemed almost alive. Touchdown in 3 minutes, announced AX-14, the drone's mechanical voice cutting through the cabin. The team exchanged final glances, silent now as they prepared themselves. Kieran felt the familiar weight of the pulse rifle in his hands, its grip cold and reassuring. Whatever waited for them out there, they would face it together. The transport landed with a bone-jarring thud, the ramp lowering with a hiss of hydraulic steam. Kieran was the first to step out, scanning the horizon. The air was sharp, tinged with the acrid scent of ozone. The ground beneath their boots crunched like glass, a mixture of alien crystal and human debris. Form up, he ordered, his voice low. The squad moved into position, rifles raised as they advanced. The landscape was eerily quiet, the only sound the faint hum emanating from the alien structures. They moved cautiously, weaving through the jagged terrain. The alien base loomed in the distance, a sprawling labyrinth of curved spires and glowing conduits. As they approached, the air seemed to thrum with energy, vibrating faintly against their skin. Picking up movement, Arden reported, his voice clipped. The tech specialist held up a scanner, its display flashing with erratic signals. Non-human signatures, closing fast. Positions. Kieran barked, and the squad scattered, taking cover behind the rocks. The attack came swiftly, a blur of alien drones emerging from the shadows. They moved with a fluidity that was almost organic, their sleek forms glinting in the faint light. Energy bolts sizzled through the air, narrowly missing their marks. Kieran fired first, his pulse rifle tearing through the closest drone in a burst of sparks. The others followed suit, their training taking over as they returned fire. The battlefield lit up with bursts of energy, the acrid smell of burning metal filling the air. "Watch the flanks!" Nia shouted, spinning to take down a drone that had circled behind them. The fight was brutal but brief. When the last drone fell, the squad regrouped, their breathing heavy. Kieran surveyed the remains, his brow furrowed. "These drones are different," he muttered, kneeling to examine one. Its sleek design bore traces of human engineering, a disturbing fusion of alien and Earth technology. "Baba Yaga's handiwork?" Juno asked, wiping sweat from her brow. "Seems like it," Kieran replied. "Let's move. The base is close." They pressed on, the encounter leaving them tense and hypervigilant. The entrance to the base loomed ahead, an arched doorway carved into the largest spire. As they approached, the faint hum grew louder, resonating in their chests. The interior was a labyrinth of alien architecture, the walls pulsing faintly with light. The squad moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the vast corridors. Strange symbols adorned the walls, their meaning indecipherable but oddly hypnotic. "Arden, you getting anything?" Kieran asked, his voice low. "Some kind of power source," Arden replied, studying his scanner. "It's massive. Center of the structure, I think." "Then that's where we're headed," Kieran said. They advanced deeper into the base, the atmosphere growing heavier with each step. The air seemed to hum with a presence, something unseen yet palpable. Kieran felt the weight of unseen eyes on him, the sensation crawling along his spine. The corridor widened into a massive chamber, its walls lined with alien machinery. In the center stood a figure, silhouetted against the glow of a control panel. It wasn't Baba Yaga. The figure turned, revealing a face that was both familiar and alien. Its features were human, but its skin shimmered with an otherworldly sheen, and its eyes glowed faintly. "Who the hell are you?" Nia demanded, raising her rifle. "I am a messenger," the figure said, its voice smooth and melodic. "Baba Yaga has been expecting you." Kieran stepped forward, his rifle trained on the figure. "Where is she?" The messenger smiled, a gesture that was both unsettling and oddly serene. "Closer than you think. But tell me, Captain, do you truly understand what you've been sent to do?" Kieran didn't waver. "We're here to end this." "Where is she?" The figure tilted its head, as if amused. "You march into the unknown, armed with ignorance and fear. Baba Yaga does not seek to harm humanity. She seeks to save it?" "Save it?" Ezra scoffed. "By allying with the same monsters that nearly wiped us out?" The messenger's gaze swept over the squad, its glowing eyes lingering on each of them. "What you call monsters were architects of survival. Baba Yaga saw the truth. She acted when your leaders faltered. And now, you are here to destroy what you do not understand." Kieran tightened his grip on his rifle. "Enough. Lead us to her or we'll find her ourselves." The messenger stepped aside, gesturing toward another corridor. "You will find what you seek. But be warned, truth is rarely kind." As the squad moved past the figure, Kieran couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into something far larger than themselves. The hum of the bass grew louder, almost deafening as they approached the core. Whatever waited for them, it wasn't just Baba Yaga. It was something far more dangerous. The air thickened as they neared the heart of the base. Every step forward felt heavier, the pulsing energy that radiated from the walls pressing against their senses. Kieran's hand was steady on his rifle, but his mind churned with doubt. The messenger's words lingered, a whisper that refused to dissipate. They emerged into a cavernous chamber, the walls alive with shifting light and shadow. At the center, a throne-like structure rose from a dais of black metal, alien symbols etched into its surface. Sitting there, cloaked in a dark mantle that shimmered with iridescent hues, was Baba Yaga. She wasn't what Kieran had expected. Her face was unmistakably human but aged beyond her years, as if bearing the weight of countless lifetimes. Her eyes, however, were otherworldly, glowing faintly with the same energy that pulsed through the base. She regarded them calmly, her expression unreadable. "You came," she said, her voice soft but carrying an edge of steel. "I wondered if they'd have the nerve to send you." Kieran raised his rifle, the squad fanning out behind him. "You know why we're here?" Baba Yaga stood slowly, her movements deliberate. "Oh, I know. You've been sent to kill me, to erase the last remnants of the Zadran. To silence the truths I hold." She stepped forward, her gaze sweeping over the squad. "But do you know why you've been sent? Or are you just following orders, like good little soldiers?" "Enough." Nia snapped, her rifle trained on Baba Yaga's chest. "Don't try to manipulate us. You betrayed humanity. Worked with the aliens to destroy us." Baba Yaga chuckled, a dry, hollow sound. "Is that what they told you? That I betrayed humanity? No, Sergeant. I saw what was coming. I made choices to save what I could." "You sided with the enemy," Kieran said, his voice cold. "You expect us to believe that was for humanity's good?" "Enemy," Baba Yaga repeated, her tone contemplative. "It's such a simple word, isn't it? Easy to wield, easy to believe. But the truth is never simple." She gestured to the walls around them, the glowing conduits that pulsed with life. "Do you know what this place is? What it was meant to be?" "It doesn't matter," Kieran said. "Your actions cost millions of lives. That's all we need to know." Her gaze snapped to him, sharp and piercing. "You're wrong. It matters more than you can comprehend." The chamber trembled as if responding to her words, the lights intensifying. Baba Yaga's voice rose, gaining an edge of urgency. "The Zadran didn't come to conquer, Captain. They came to warn us. To prepare us for what's coming." "Lies," Ezra spat, his knuckles white on his rifle. "They wiped out half the planet. They tried to unify it," Baba Yaga countered, her voice fierce. "Our leaders resisted. They fought a war they couldn't win, and humanity suffered for their arrogance." Kieran's grip tightened on his weapon. "Enough of this. If you have something to say, say it. Otherwise, we end this here and now." She sighed, a sound heavy with exhaustion. "You can kill me, Captain. That's what you came for, isn't it? To finish the story your leaders wrote for you? But know this, when the real enemy comes, and they will come, you'll need what I've built here. You'll need what the Zadran left behind." The chamber shook violently, the hum of energy rising to a deafening pitch. A console beside the dais lit up, projecting a hologram into the air. It showed a massive fleet, ships unlike anything they had seen before, advancing through the void. Kieran stared at the image, his stomach sinking. "What is that?" Baba Yaga's voice softened, a strange sadness creeping into her tone. "The ones who destroyed the Zadran. They're coming for Earth next. I've spent years preparing for this, building what defenses I could with the scraps they left behind. But it won't be enough without unity." The squad exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of her words pressing down on them. "How do we know this isn't a trick?" Nia demanded, her voice shaking. "Another way to manipulate us?" "You don't," Baba Yaga admitted. "You only know what you've been told. But ask yourself this, if I wanted humanity destroyed, why am I still here? Why not let you finish yourselves off?" The chamber fell silent except for the hum of the machinery. Kieran's mind raced. The mission was clear: kill Baba Yaga and the threat, and declare humanity's survival. But now, the clarity was gone, replaced by an abyss of doubt. "What do we do, Captain?" Arden asked, his voice low. Kieran's eyes met Baba Yaga's, searching for some sign of deception. He saw none, only a quiet determination and a glimmer of something else: hope. "Lower your weapons," he said finally, his voice firm. Nia's head snapped toward him. "What? We can't." "That's an order," Kieran interrupted, his tone leaving no room for argument. One by one, the squad lowered their rifles, though their expressions were tense and wary. "What now?" Baba Yaga asked, a faint smile playing at her lips. Kieran exhaled slowly, the weight of the decision settling on his shoulders. "We need to know more. If what you're saying is true, then killing you won't save anyone. But if you're lying, you'll do what you must," Baba Yaga finished for him, nodding. "Fair enough." The lights in the chamber dimmed, the tension easing as the machinery around them quieted. Baba Yaga gestured toward the console, her movements slow and deliberate. "Then let me show you," she said. "And let's hope it's not too late." Kiran stepped forward, the squad close behind him. Whatever lay ahead, the path was no longer clear, but one thing was certain: this mission was far from over.